Picture this. You see a girl across the room. She is exactly your type. Instantly, your heart starts hammering against your ribs. Your palms go cold. You tell yourself, just walk over and say hello. It is not that big of a deal, but suddenly your legs feel like lead. Your mind, which was just working perfectly fine a second ago, goes completely and utterly blank. You freeze. Most guys think this happens because they lack confidence or maybe because they feel they aren't attractive. Enough, but they are dead wrong. This reaction has nothing to do with your personality. It is actually a glitch in your brain's ancient survival mechanism. In this video, we are going to decode the exact psychological shift that rewires your brain. So you can walk up to any woman under any circumstances and speak with total effortless calm, and if you stay until the end. I am going to share a 3-word psychological trigger that makes it impossible for your mind to go blank. To understand how to fix this freezing problem, we first need to understand what is actually happening inside your head. Psychologists call this the amygdala hijack. Thousands of years ago, if your ancestors saw a saber-toothed tiger, their brain's alarm system, the amygdala, would flood their body with adrenaline. It shut down the logical, speaking part of the brain, forcing them to either fight or run away. Today, there are no tigers, but when you see a beautiful woman that you are highly attracted to, your brain perceives the potential of social rejection as a literal life or death threat. Your amygdala fires up. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for witty banter, speech, and logic, completely shuts down. You are experiencing a biological system crash. What happens to you isn't a social failure, it is purely biology. If you do not learn how to manually override this system, you will continue to freeze up every single time. Let's look at a real-life example to see how this plays out. Meet Marcus. Marcus is a 24-year-old software engineer. He is a smart, funny, and genuinely great guy around his friends. But when it came to approaching women, he was a ghost. One Tuesday afternoon, Marcus was sitting at his local cafe. A woman walked in, and she had this incredible aura that just commanded the room. Marcus immediately felt that familiar, heavy surge of anxiety in his chest. He sat there for 20 minutes, staring at his laptop screen, desperately trying to rehearse the perfect opening line in his head. He wanted to say something clever. Finally, he gathered the courage and stood up. He walked over to her table. But the exact moment she looked up and made eye contact with him, Marcus experienced that system crash. His throat tightened. The perfect, clever line he rehearsed completely disappeared from his memory. He mumbled something awkward about the weather, spilled a little bit of his coffee, and practically bolted out the door. Marcus felt humiliated, but he didn't need to. He just didn't have the right psychological tools. The first tool you must use to beat the freeze is a concept called the 3-second rule, popularized by top behavioral scientists. When you see someone you want to talk to, your brain gives you a tiny 3-second window of pure intuition. In those first 3 seconds, you are acting on natural impulse. But if you wait for seconds, or 5 seconds, or 20 minutes like Marcus did, your brain begins fabricating doubts. It will manufacture fears. It will convince you that you're bothering her, that she probably has a boyfriend, or that everyone in the room is watching you. You must move your feet before your brain can start the engine of anxiety. The moment you see a girl you want to talk to, count backwards, 3, 2, 1, and step forward. Do not give the amygdala time to realize what is happening. But how do you? Actually step forward without the fear completely paralyzing you. You have to apply something called the low-stakes illusion. Marcus failed at the cafe because his brain treated a simple conversation like a high-stakes, life-or-death job interview. Subconsciously, he was thinking, I need her to like me. I need to get her number. I need to impress her. That amount of pressure is absolutely terrifying for anyone to carry. You need to immediately change the goalpost. Your objective is not to get her phone number. Your objective is not to make her fall in love with you. Your only objective is simply to see if she is actually pleasant to talk to. You are shifting the pedestal. You are not begging for her attention. You are casually interviewing her to see what her energy is like. When you shift the pressure off yourself and onto the environment, your body language instantly relaxes. This brings us to the second massive psychological trap that causes guys to freeze. Rehearsing lines. When you try to memorize a pickup line, your brain is put under immense cognitive load. You are trying to remember the words perfectly and deliver them perfectly. If she reacts in a way you didn't predict, your script fails and your brain crashes. The most magnetic, attractive men do not use rehearsed scripts, they use contextual openers. A contextual opener means simply commenting on the shared reality you are both experiencing in that exact moment. IT requires zero memorization. And because it is based on the current environment, it feels completely organic and safe to her. You aren't aggressively hitting on her. You are just a guy making an observation about the world around you. This keeps her subconscious defenses completely lowered. Let's rewind and look at how Marcus fixed his critical mistake a week later. He was back at the same cafe, and he saw the exact same woman. This time, he didn't sit there for 20 minutes. He used the 3-second rule. 3, 2, 1. He stood up and walked over. Instead of using a rehearsed pickup line, he looked for a contextual opener. He noticed she was drinking a strange-looking, bright green matcha drink. He walked up, smiled naturally, and said, "Hey, I have to ask, is that actually delicious, or does it just taste like blended grass?" Notice exactly what he did here. He did not compliment her looks immediately, which usually puts beautiful women on high alert. He commented on the shared environment. It felt safe. It was normal. It was spontaneous. She laughed. Her amygdala stayed perfectly calm, and more importantly, his brain stayed calm, too. Now, let's talk about the silent killer of all conversations: eye contact anxiety. When a guy is nervous, his eyes usually dart nervously around the room, which makes him look deeply insecure or untrustworthy. On the flip side, intense, unbroken staring can feel incredibly aggressive and creepy. To bridge this gap flawlessly, you use the triangle method. When she is talking to you, look at her left eye, then shift slowly to her right eye, and then glance down at her mouth for a second. This pattern simulates warm, natural human connection without the intense pressure of a staring contest. You combine this with the open torso stance. Never approach a girl directly from behind, and never cross your arms. Keep your shoulders relaxed and your hands out of your pockets. In evolutionary psychology, visible, open hands mean you aren't carrying a weapon. It subconsciously signals absolute safety. At the very beginning of this video, I promised you a 3-word psychological trigger that will make it physically impossible for your mind to go blank ever again. When Marcus learned this final trigger, his social life completely transformed. He went from a guy who couldn't say hello to a man who charms the entire room. The next time you see a girl you want to approach and you feel that heavy freeze coming on, close your eyes for a split second, take a deep breath out, and repeat these 3 words in your mind. I am curious. Why does this work so effectively? Because fear and curiosity cannot coexist in the human brain at the same time. They use completely different neural pathways. When you tell your brain you are anxious, it panics. But when you tell your brain you are curious, you turn the interaction into a fun game. You aren't trying to win her over. You are just curious to see who she is. If you want to master the rest of this psychological blueprint, click the video on your screen right now. See you there.